Our next speaker is joining us from the Humane Society of the United States. Joe Maxwell is the Vice President for Outreach and Engagement of the Humane Society of the United States. Joe grew up on a family farm, which he still farms in Rush Hill, Missouri, the son of a hardworking family farmer. In his role at HSUS, he works directly with family farmers, helping organize producer groups to open direct markets for their products. He's a former Missouri Lieutenant Governor and President of the Association of Family Farmers, an organization associated with the Agriculture of the Middle Project. He's a member of the Organization for Competitive Markets in Missouri's Farmers Union. The Humane Society of the United States supports those farmers and ranchers who are good stewards of the land and their animals. Because Big Ag's abuse of power in the marketplace, on farms, and at our capitals, the future of these farmers and ranchers is in jeopardy. As the Vice President of Outreach and Engagement for HSUS, Joe Maxwell works every day through the HSUS Rural Development and Outreach Program to help level the playing field for these true American farmers and ranchers. Joe?
Thank you all. I'm very honored to be here and be able to be part of this distinguished group that's come here. And the most exciting thing for me is the fact that we're all here together. I want to kind of talk a little bit about what's going on down on the farm. I am a family farmer, fourth generation. My brother and I, part of our family farm together, we have 720 acres row crop. We have 360 sows. We have some old cows and some calves, and we can't ever give up that last cow. I just can't let that last cow go off the farm. We're going to go more into pasturing the way you do, and so we've kind of sold down the cow numbers. We've got what we call meat chickens. We got chickens out there. One day we hope we wind up Sunday dinner, and they have a good time wandering around one of our farms, and we also have our own eggs. We raise our eggs for our own families. There's 4 of us families that depend upon that production. Same way with the chickens that'll be Sunday dinner. Those are not. We'll give away eggs and we give away some chickens to folks, but they aren't really part of the commercial enterprise that we've come together to develop. Most of our resources and money come from our hog operations. We're part of a pork co-op, pig co-op, that my family invested in after the '98 crisis in the hog market, and together now we farm together. As family farmers, we were being driven out of the marketplace by heavy concentration and packer-owned livestock, vertically integrated models. And one day we woke up and said, well, we aren't going to quit. But we said, this sure heck hasn't been fun. So we'd about gone broke twice, and many of the neighbors were broke and being sold out the courthouse steps. So we said, what can we do differently? And we came together and we're working together. And that's hard for some of us guys with belt buckles and farmer hats and cowboy hats to put down some of our independence and work together. But we're working together, and we're sustaining about 52 family farms in Missouri. And we don't do it the same way as what we're finding going on down on the farm. The video you saw when I was being introduced is veal calves. I congratulate this state. Last year, Jill Fritz is back here in the back. I work for Jill. Hi, Jill. I don't want to screw this up. Jill's our state director for the Humane Society of the United States. I think in 2012, this state outlawed what you just saw in that video. Is that right, Jill?
Yes, in 2012, the law went into effect, outlawing.
So I want to congratulate you all. You said, you know what's wrong? Is tying that little calf's head up to that stanchion. It's very short life. You just said that's wrong. And you can't do that practice here. Matter of fact, y'all have a lot to be proud of down the farm. We got a lot of work to do in Michigan. That's why we're here, right? But you got folks that starting to get it. And that's better than some of the states I work in. I work in North Carolina. There's a challenge. You ought to go to Missouri. That's my home state. There's only about 52 of us talk to each other. No one else talks to us. Of course, if you talk like this, you know, some people don't understand what you're saying. So. There are folks, you know, that think this is the way a cow's behind ought to look. They cut the tail off. That way when they're laying down, there's so gosh darn many of them, they don't step on it and tear it off. I guess that's not a bad idea, but why you got so many of them in a pen? On these industrial dairies, they don't want to fool with the tail, so they cut it off. Now, God gave that animal a tail for a reason. Mentioned Temple Grandin, someone did here. Temple will tell you exactly why a cow needs a tail. Folks like myself, you know, and other us farmers, we know cow needs her tail. It's how she gets rid of the flies. It's how she communicates in the herd. Cut that tail off, they'll stomp their feet. Why? Well, you know, if you can't get that fly off your nose, it kind of bothers you. You know? This is not good on the farm. Now, this is an aerial shot of several shots that you've seen of this place. This is in Yuma, Colorado. I've been there. We work in Yuma, in Colorado as well. HSUS does with sustainable ranchers and farmers. JBS operation. This is probably the largest feeding operation for cattle in the world. The chairman of the Ag Council of the Humane Society of the United States for Colorado lives not far from here. He is a farm animal veterinarian, former president of the Colorado Veterinary Medical Association. He's a grass-fed beef rancher. I went to visit him, and in town you almost have to wear a mask. It gets dry in Colorado, that's why they built it there. It doesn't rain a lot, but you know what happens to the manure when those animals are milling around? It gets into the air, and then you breathe it. And the statistics were already stated about CAFOs. This is a CAFO. Probably the largest one in the world.
How many animals?
130,000. Now look at this. Now we saw a close-up of a gestation crate for sows. Now here's something. How many farmers do we have in the room? All right. Okay, now I know a lot of us aren't any longer in the hog business. I came out of went to high school, graduated high school in '75, went to short stint in the Army, came out, started farming. So 1980 Ag Census is kind of my foundation or my benchmark in agriculture. Now I started farming when I don't remember not farming, but I just kind of use that as my placeholder for what's happened to Joe Maxwell in his lifetime as a farmer. In 1980, there were about 62,000 hog farmers in Missouri. In the latest USDA census, I think this is right, there were 67,000 nationally. And this is what we decided should replace those mighty American farmers that have been displaced and driven from the land. Shouldn't that make us feel proud? God's got to be smiling. 2 feet by 7 feet. Those are gestation crates. Now listen, you hear these things, and I congratulate you all. By 2019, this won't exist here. Thank you. 2019. You won't have this here. God bless you. And everybody that supported that. Now, but they say, well, the mama pig will smash the piglets. This is not when she's had pigs. This is gestation, time of pregnancy. It's 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. 114 days. Then she's moved to another crate where she has her piglets. She's AI'd, brought back to this environment. This is her entire life. I love raising pigs. I love pigs. Love pigs. Intelligent animal, social animal. This is no way. If this was down at the zoo, John Dinan's here, good friend of mine. John works for us in a neighboring state, but John comes out of the zoo area. If you caged an animal like that at one of your zoos, the community would be in an uproar. Nobody speaks up, except a few of us. Doing it right now. I think I can make this work. This gives you an example of what her life's like. Yep. They feed them right out front. This is an animal's life. It has some sound, but I can't seem to find it. They basically are the size of an animal.
I don't need the sound.
Okay. Bear and battery cages for chickens. 290 million animals. Live in this much space. 290 million animals live in this much space down on the farm. I'll tell you what, those of you who raised your hands, I'm a farmer. I'm proud of it. My daddy was a farmer. My granddad was a farmer. My great-granddad bought the land. I'll tell you one thing, that ain't farming. It's absolutely inhumane. 290 million. And we got a bill in Washington, D.C. that we're asking the Congress, along with the United Egg Producers, the largest trade association for egg producers, to allow these animals to have more space where they can extend their limbs, they can perch, and they can lay eggs in a box and naturally molt. That means they'd have some feathers on them. We're asking for that to be put into the Farm Bill. Down on the farm. About the time I started farming. At the same time the animals are being caged and treated inhumanely, this is what happened to the American farmer. In America today, there's a very small few individuals and corporations that have the power. They have the power. The fact that they have the power isn't the crime or the sin. The fact is that they abuse the power, and that's the crime and the sin. That abuse of power finds its way onto the farm and does this to animals. It finds its way up on the farm and it does this to the American farmer and rancher, drives them off the land. Finds its way to the marketplace and strangles out fair competition. Finds its way up on the land and pollutes our water. Destroys the environment, destroys our air. Finds its way up on the land and makes its neighbor breathe this. In the name of property rights, I have a right to build that CAFO next to you. That abuse of power finds its way across our land. Finds its way into our capitals at the state level, at the federal level. That's what we're here talking about, right? How do we equalize it? How can less be more? It'll only happen if we put aside our differences. How many farmers say those animal rights people, they don't know what they're talking about? Or those darn tree huggers. While we stood on our land and watched our neighbors be taken off of it through this abuse of power, there were fewer and fewer of us left. Fewer and fewer of us left. Corporate ag takes our faces and our names and plasters it across America and says, oh, look at our happy farmers. And behind them is this filth that I showed you. It's filth on the land, filth in the air, filth inside those buildings. And we in agriculture too often let them steal our names and our faces so they can hide that filth. This opportunity here, tonight, these folks that have gathered us here together, this is a good starting point to put aside our differences, come together, find what we can have in common. We have the power. We're the 90%. We have the power to make those changes in Washington, D.C. We have the power to do that. But as long as we stay divided, they will continue to conquer us. And this number will just keep going down till there's none of us left. The myths that they use. Well, you can't feed the world that way. Well, the heck you can't. You can feed the world that way. We fed the world for centuries that way. USDA did a study, reported in 2007, showed that in America, during the time period of the study, there were, I think, about 70% fewer farmers in that study. But they determined that they only significantly raised more pigs. It was just how and who got to do it. My farm operation, I worked with the Ag of the Middle project. I'll tell you, we can feed the world. And we have to think about changing our diet some. Us farmers that don't want to hear about meatless Mondays, well, you know what? Our hearts would do a little bit better if we learned to eat a little bit more like Mama taught us. There was a reason we had all those vegetables and fruits on our plate. It's so we didn't eat 24 ounces of meat that day. It's not been forever that we've had this diet, folks. So we didn't always raise animals like this. It's just been in this last generation, and we didn't always eat like we do today at them all-you-can-eat meat buffets. So whether it's for your environment or for the health or for the animals, we need to be conscious about what we're eating and how we're voting with our pocketbook. But we can feed the world with sustainable animal welfare, humane practices that respect the world God gave us, so that our kids can have clean air to breathe and clean water to drink and beautiful places to walk. God bless you. Let's come together. Let's take back our capitals.